Police brutality, racism, protests and security laws, anti-Muslim bigotry. So what the hell is going on in France? On November 21st, a French music producer, Michel Zecler, was repeatedly assaulted and beaten by French police officers, who reportedly used racial slurs while smashing his face in for not wearing a face mask. The police had falsely claimed that Zecler was resisting arrest and tried to grab their weapons, when they had in fact stormed his office and assaulted him. The video of the now infamous incident garnered millions of views online, evoking outrage in France and a massive backlash against the government that had to suspend the officers involved in the beating pending an investigation, while simultaneously planning for a new global security law where it would become a crime punishable by 1 year in prison and a €45,000 fine to film any on-duty police officer. Many in the French media, human rights groups, and on the left perceive this law as a threat to freedom of speech, freedom of the press, and their ability to report on police crimes and protests. The proposed law could not have come at a worse time. In addition to the Zecler incident, video footage of a police operation to clear a makeshift immigrant camp installed by protesters in the Place de la République in central Paris went viral. Macron himself was involved in an incident of police brutality, in one of the biggest scandals of his presidency, known as the Benalla affair, when one of his security personnel impersonated a police officer and beat up a protester. Macron's wooing of the far right by cracking down on Muslims, focusing on crime and curbing immigration have made him popular amongst conservatives in France, but at the cost of social cohesion and public order. From the start of the Yellow Vest movement, journalist David Defroust has recorded more than 4 deaths, 344 head injuries, 29 disemboweling incidents, and 5 incidents of hands being torn off as a result of French policing during the Yellow Vest movement. But police violence against people of African and Arab origin has been an ongoing pattern for many years. In 2016, when Adama died in police custody, major protests erupted in Lyon, Paris, and Toulouse. Similar to the US Black Lives Matter protests, the demonstrations were dubbed Justice for Adama, a justice that is yet to be found 4 years later, as an alternative medical examination has been issued outside of France after an internal investigation exonerated the officers involved. But Adama was just the tip of the iceberg. In 2015, Amadou Koumed died of asphyxiation after being arrested at a bar. In 2008, Hakim Adjimi lost his life after 2 police officers throttled him and compressed his chest. In 2007, Lamine Dieng died of asphyxiation in a police van. France was even the first European state to be convicted of torture for the violent and sexually charged abuse of a young man in police custody in 1999. The victim's name? Ahmed Selmouni, a French citizen of North African origin. All these victims have one thing in common: Arab or African-sounding names. Abuse of power, profiling, and heavy-handedness by the French police had also sparked nationwide riots in 2005 that saw Paris's suburbs burned for weeks. The United Nations, Human Rights Watch, and other human rights groups have all issued reports in the past, warning France over its police force's discriminatory practices against minorities. Liberty, equality, and brotherhood all seem to be under threat, while Macron and his administration scramble to restore order and get their security law passed. The question is, what's next for France in its battle against itself?